Hey guys, welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, I'm so unbelievably excited because I finally get to share with you the details of a little project I've been working on in the background. The creation of the first Mad About Skin sunscreens. Yes, note that plural, sunscreens. There's going to be more than one to cater to as many preferences and skin types as possible. When I launched the Mad About Skin brand 9 months ago, the products were really like a labour of love from all of the Mad About Skin family, because your input and feedback really did shape the products through development, and I want that to be the case with any future launches. This sunscreen won't actually be hitting market until later on in the summer, but I want to share with you some of the behind the scenes information regarding it, the formulation, do some swatches on hand so I can really take on board your feedback and tweak and change the formulations as we head towards that launch. And that's kind of the purpose of today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's talk formulating my own sunscreen. Now, before we get into this, the eagle-eyed amongst you will be saying, Rob, hang about, aren't you launching the Mad About Skin lip balm and exfoliating gel in less than 2 weeks' time? Why are we already talking about sunscreens that aren't hitting till later on in the year? And I totally hear that, but I've always said with Mad About Skin, I want it to be like a collaboration between all of us. I want to create products that work for your skin types, which ultimately you guys will enjoy, which is why your feedback is so important. I cannot wait to launch the lip balm and exfoliating gel in the next couple of weeks, because I think, honestly, they'll be game-changing for your skincare routine. But at this point in the development process of the sunscreens, I want to take a stock and take some of your feedback on board to really tweak and change the products ready for that launch, which again is like the purpose of today's video. Throughout this, I would love to know your thoughts, feelings and opinions, so make sure you sound off in the comments section below. Just promise me that whilst you're down there, you'll also give this video a big thumbs up and a like. I don't measure my own success in life based on the number of likes I get, but unfortunately YouTube still does. The more likes a video gets, the more widely they'll distribute it, which will just help as many people as possible discover our fabulous Mad About Skin family. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the love, kindness and support you guys always show me. It genuinely means the world to me. Now, with all that being said, shall we cut the waffle and just delve straight on in? And the first thing I want to talk about is some of the challenges of creating your own sunscreen. Now, I appreciate this section of the video won't appeal to everyone, so I've left timestamps in the description box below, which will help you to navigate your way through the video. Later on, we're going to be talking about these individual sunscreens and doing some swatches. If you want to cut straight to that, use the timestamps, be my guest, you can cut this section and delve straight into that. I won't be offended, I promise. Now, complexities, sunscreen. Now, I do want to wish you a little bit of an apology. When I launched this channel like 2.5 years ago, some of my first brand reviews, I actually shaded the brands for saying, what's the point of creating a skincare line if you don't launch with a sunscreen? The sunscreen is like the true non-negotiable in your skincare routine, and I still stand by that. However, through creating my own and experiences that I've had with this formulation, I now totally understand why brands don't launch with a sunscreen. Of all the products in a skincare routine, they're the ones that have to go through the most testing, meet the most regulatory standards. It can take a whole lot of time, effort and money to really create your own sunscreen. And so, I do take that back. I now understand why a lot of brands choose to launch with other products to really get the sales going, to get the brand out there before then following with the sunscreen. I think as long as the sunscreen is in development, as long as they're working on a high class, a high quality SPF in the background, I think that's okay to give them, a year and a half to actually get that to market. Because I think having tried all of these things, I would rather brands come out with a quality sunscreen than just throw any old rubbish onto the market to be able to say they've got one in their collection, if that kind of makes sense. So sometimes admitting you're wrong can be a hard thing in life, but in this case I am going to admit that I'm wrong, and I'm going to give a little bit more leeway to brands in the past, because honestly this has been a bit of a challenge. I think the first and foremost, the hardest thing when it comes to sunscreens is meeting everyone's preferences. Different people expect different things for sunscreen, different levels of SPF protection from like the 20 through to the SPF 30, 40, 50 plus. You also have people that want chemical sunscreens versus mineral sunscreens versus hybrid sunscreens. It can be really difficult to actually meet everyone's expectations. One of the things I've learned in this process is you can never please everyone all of the time, and I think that's something I actually had to come to terms with. I just naturally want everybody to love and want to buy the products, but to be able to create a sunscreen which everybody will love in equal measure is just never going to happen. I said that I wanted to create multiple sunscreens because I do think there are different segments of the market that want to have a mineral sunscreen, want to have a chemical sunscreen, and some people like the best of both worlds in a hybrid formulation. And I think if a brand has one of each of these that's really delivering high quality sun protection, I think that covers as many bases as possible. I've also eliminated from all of these products the really heavy artificial fragrances that you get with some sunscreens. The ones like the Nivea that put us in those summer mood, those summer vibes that remind us of those nostalgic beach moments, but actually in high concentrations could just be sensitizing the skin. And whilst I don't have a problem with fragrance in my skincare, I think the overpowering fragrance we see in sunscreens is kind of a thing of the past. Leave that in the 90s along with some of our clothing life-saving choices. And let's update things now. I wanted to create products that had modern UV filters. I know, there's a whole different regulations in different parts of the world, but I'm really lucky to have worked with a fantastic lab in coming up with these amazing sunscreens that will actually deliver a range of modern sunscreen filters that are applicable to the UK, European Union market, but also can be sent internationally. One of the benefits of being an online business is you can distribute from wherever in the world you are to wherever the customer base happens to be, providing you meet the standards and regulations in the country where you're based, which we absolutely do. The UK and Europe has some of the highest sunscreen standards in the world. And of course, any product that I created, I would absolutely want to meet all of those standards and exceed them. You then have to come on to the testing. And this is something that I think brands have maybe neglected in the past. We saw with the Korean sunscreen scandal, a lot of brands just, took what the lab was saying as read, stuck, SPF 50 plus on the product and then sold it. Then came out and some of them were woefully inadequate in terms of the protection they were giving. I obviously have critiqued so many brands for doing that. So when it comes to creating my own, I have to make sure everything is super, super robust, as I would want to do anyway. I think, being a brand owner, one thing that really sticks in my mind is you have a level of responsibility to the consumer, the people that are spending their hard-earned coin on your product. And so going through rigorous testing to make sure that the product you're selling actually meets the claims that you're making, I think is really, really important. Of course, the SPF is only half of it. You've then got to look at the UVA protection. I think this is something, thankfully, we're all becoming a little bit more aware of. Previously, brands would just fixate on the SPF because that's the thing that's on the front of the bottle. So people would gravitate to the highest possible SPF within their price range and use it on their skin. Where actually, that's not that indicative of the UVA protection that a brand will be giving you. So different countries in the world have different UVA ratings, but the UVA protection score is really important because that's what prevents our skin from aging. So you've got the SPF that prevents us from burning, from certain cancers, but UVA radiation and damage can also lead to cancers down the line. It actually ages our skin, degrades collagen, leads to fine lines and wrinkles, hyperpigmentation. All the things we want to avoid. So you want a broad spectrum sunscreen. It's going to deliver you against both of those. And that's something that I really wanted to put time and effort into formulating, so you guys can be assured that when you reach for the product, it's going to just cover you against all bases, which is really, really important. Now, finally, let's come on to the challenges around budget and the amount of product. There is nothing more infuriating than you get a tiny amount of sunscreen. As soon as you've opened it, it's practically gone. So obviously I wanted to create products that actually had a decent amount of product so you could apply it liberally and not worry about the amount you're using. Similarly, I never think that sun care should be too expensive. Nobody should be priced out of good quality SPF because it's the true non-negotiable in your skincare routine. So of course I wanted to create formulations that came with a drugstore price point, under $15, $10, £11 price, to be able to be accessible to as many people as possible. This thankfully is something through the really tireless and hard work of the lab I have been able to achieve. And so whilst we're still working on the final pricing, you'll see that before launch, but it's going to be true drugstore and affordable, something that I really want to demonstrate to the market, that you can get high quality, elegant and easy to apply sunscreens at affordable price points. You don't need to pay extra to get that elegant application. It can exist on a budget, and that's really what I wanted to prove with these formulations. Now, with all that being said, you know what, that's for me to worry about. Those are the complexities and the challenges, but we've kind of dealt with those. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of behind the scenes of some of the challenges of coming up with these products and why it does sometimes take brands just that little bit longer to come out with a sunscreen than some of their other skincare products. But we've moved on from all of that, and I've come up with 3 fantastic products I honestly think are amazing. We've got a hybrid, we've got a chemical, and a mineral sunscreen. Let's start with the mineral sunscreen. Now, these are all planning to be launched in August this year. However, those timings might be a little bit rough because it's going through testing, and of course, different UV filters take different lengths of time to test and all of that good stuff. So we can't guarantee all 3 will be launched at the same time. But know that the 3 are in development, so whatever your preference, there will be one for you in the end. So the mineral sunscreen is the easiest in terms of the formulation because there's far fewer mineral filters that you can actually reach for when it comes to choosing the ones you want to use in the product. However, making sure that it's not excessively drying, because some of the mineral filters can dry the skin and soak up some excess oil, meaning it's not always the most applicable style of sunscreen for a very dry skin type. You've got to formulate it with lots of other rich and nourishing ingredients to really put back in the hydration. This has the added benefit of actually making it glide onto the skin that little bit better and can offset some of the ashiness and that sort of lavender hue that you can get with some mineral sunscreens. For me, this just delivered everything. Now, I'll be totally honest. When it comes to mineral sunscreens, you have to work them in that a little bit harder than you do chemical ones. And I think that's absolutely fine. You just have to be prepared for that. For me, you work this into the skin for 20 seconds, and on my skin tone, completely invisible. We're going through some testing on some different skin tones, so I can just see how it works on each and every different level of tone. So it can be truly accessible to all. But if you see how that's glided onto my skin, It is so gorgeous. It's invisible. It's not tacky in any way. After working that in for 20 seconds, it's disappeared. This is the most matte of all of them. And again, that's something that you will find with mineral sunscreens. They tend to be more on the matte side than they will on the dewy. That's just the nature of those mineral filters that are used. But for me, the main thing is it doesn't clump. It doesn't ball up and pill like some mineral sunscreens can, and doesn't strip and dry the skin. Your skin feels beautifully hydrated. Whilst it is absolutely matte, it's got that gorgeous velvety feel, and it adds back to the skin rather than stripping and drying like some other ones can. I'm really proud of this formulation, and whilst we're trying it out on different skin tones, which is really important, and I wish more brands would do so we can see how it works, I'll be totally honest and open with you guys and tweak the formulation as best I can to make it as accessible to as wide as possible range of skin tones. Now let's come on to the chemical sunscreen. Now, when it comes to chemical sunscreens, you have a lot more choice in terms of filters. That's good because I'm all in favour of choice, but it does add extra complexity to the formulation and manufacturing process, which can be a little bit of a minefield. I opted for newer generation filters because I feel that they give that same great protection, but in a more elegant and lightweight way. If you think back to the sunscreens of our youth, where everything was really heavy, really thick and occlusive on the skin, that doesn't appeal to a lot of people. It certainly doesn't to me. And that's some of the older generation style filters. The modern ones, we've moved with the times. We have more elegance to our sunscreens, and I want these products to be ones you want to look forward to applying. Almost work like a hybrid of a moisturizer and a sunscreen in one, and you want to apply them multiple times during the day because they're actually pleasurable to use. So with this sunscreen, I will be releasing the filters and sharing them all with you in a couple of weeks' time. We've just got a few extra bits of due diligence and stuff to do first, and then I'll be able to share them all with you, and I'll do so on the Facebook group. I've left a link to that in the description box below if you're not already a member. So with this chemical sunscreen, it is so good on the skin. It feels actually relatively thick when you compare it to some other chemical sunscreens, but that's good because it has that additional hydration and that moisture to the skin I think sometimes we can lack. Drying alcohols are not included in this because I know a lot of skin types don't tolerate them, and whilst I'm super oily and acne prone, so it's not that big a deal to me, dry skin types should just avoid sunscreens with drying alcohols, of course. I didn't want to include them in my own formulations. If you see how that sunk into the skin, it leaves this beautiful velvety finish, not sticky in the slightest, and maybe slightly more dewier than what you get with the mineral sunscreen. But the most important thing is it's completely invisible. It glides on, and it kind of helps you to achieve that good skin day because it leaves behind a beautiful amount of hydration to the skin, and I've tried it with makeup, foundation, concealer on top, and it just glides on beautifully. So it layers well, won't pill, won't peel, won't ball up, and hopefully this is a sort of sunscreen that you'll actually want to apply at the end of your skincare routine because you know it'll just top everything off and give you that really good skin day. I'm really proud of this formulation, as I am with all of them. I know I keep saying that throughout this video, but I think if you're looking for a chemical sunscreen that's going to leave behind a really nice amount of hydration to the skin, but also leave the skin feeling plump, enriched, as well as protected all day long, I think this is going to be a fantastic option. Now finally, let's talk hybrid sunscreens. Now a lot of people will be saying, what are hybrid sunscreens? Well, I like to think of them as best of both worlds. You get some mineral UV filters alongside some chemical ones too. It cuts down on the risk of an ashiness or the white cast, the hue that you can sometimes get with purely mineral sunscreens, but also you need a lower concentration and fewer of those chemical filters as well. It's all personal preference which you choose to go for, but my personal choice is usually for a hybrid sunscreens. It gets me the best of those both worlds. For me, this, I just loved it. Of all of the samples I tried, this is the one that just took me and I fell instantly in love with. It blends some really nice beneficial ingredients alongside those filters, so you get some skincare benefit too. It's super moisturizing and hydrating, meaning for me, someone with an oily, acne prone skin type can use it as a moisturizer and sunscreen in one. And of course, you can use other moisturizers alongside if you've got a drier skin type. It layers beautifully well. It's the one that I'm actually wearing today. I feel it gives you like a guaranteed good skin day, but you can use makeup, foundation, anything over the top of it without it balling up or budging at all. It reapplies beautifully on top of itself during the day, which is something that I think a lot of sunscreens never actually do, which makes reapplication really difficult. And I just fell in love with this. It is so gorgeous. So you'll see how it blends into the skin. After literally 5 seconds, it's disappeared. And this, I'd say, is the most lightweight of all of these three sunscreens. You don't even know you're wearing it, but it leaves behind this beautiful veil of hydration. It's not tacky, it's not sticky in the slightest, and as you can see, it just disappears without a trace. It's that perfect middle ground between matte and dewy that just leaves a really natural finish to the skin. I think I love all of these, but the one that I reached for most through those trials has been this hybrid sunscreen. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I would love to know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions opinions on anything mentioned in today's video. What do you personally look for when it comes to purchasing a sunscreen? And which of these 3 products are you most likely to reach out for and try? I'll of course be sharing with you all of the individual filters in each of these products in the next couple of weeks when I'm able to. So if you haven't already, join our Facebook group, which is linked below, and I'll share all that information over there. I just want to end with a huge thank you to each and every one of you that's supporting me on this journey. You know, I am very aware I would not be where I am today without the love, kindness and support from all of the Mad About Skin family. So from the bottom of my heart, just thank you so much for just making my dream come true. I pinch myself every morning when I look and apply these sunscreens, because I never thought I'd actually get to the stage where I can create my own. But I would love to be able to prove to the whole skincare world that you can do gorgeous, elegant and affordable sunscreens all in one. Hopefully with these 3 products you get that consumer choice alongside some just great formulations. So let me know any thoughts and feelings, and wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well and love your skin. Take care. Bye.